Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. And we are going to start our Hindi analysis now. Actually, in this class, we are going to discuss 12th and as well as 13th January 2026 related current affairs which happened in our Hindu. And as I said already, I am going to vacation. So because of this, I don't know whether if it is possible to record the videos or not. I said clearly in our last class itself. Okay, and I'm going to restart once again, and I'm going to cover this current affairs from 12th, 13th, 14th, and as well as 15th. And on 16th, there is no newspaper will be published by Hindu itself. So that today the date is January 15th. So today I will be uploading this 12th and as well as 13th January current affairs. And in tomorrow, that is on 16th January, actually there is no Hindu will be published. On that day, I will be doing a video of 14th and as well as 15th current affairs so that the current affairs will be up to date. Okay, don't worry about the missing of current affairs. I will not miss anything, guys. Okay, I want to make it very clear. And today itself, I will going to record that video also. And tomorrow we'll release that video. Okay, clear? Okay, now let us see the current affairs of 12th and as well as 13th January 2026. First article, it is about Bhairav battalions. Title says Bhairav battalions to debut in Army Day Parade in Jaipur on January 15th. On January 15th Army Day Parade, we are going to see our Bhairav battalions. The key word in this article is Bhairav battalions and you have to know about this. And there is a very high chance of getting question related to this Bhairav battalions in your prelims. And this topic is important from your internal security from GS paper 3 point of view. Our next topic is faster is not fairer in POCSO case clearance numbers. Actually, on this 12th January paper, around 4 to 5 articles related to this POCSO only. POCSO is a very important topic that is there in news on that day. And we are going to see about this POCSO cases, why it is in news, and what is the data which is there in the news, and what are the arguments in favor, arguments against, and what can be done way forward. So this year you may get a means-based question regarding this POCSO. And this topic is very important from governance point of view from GS paper 2. And next topic is India's maritime policy, how it has evolved and what lies ahead. So this article is clearly talking about one topic that is called as maritime policy. So here you have to see how it had been evolved. That is from IVC onwards till today we have to see about this evolution of India's maritime policy. And next we have to see what is the way forward, what can be done. And here you have to know about Indian Ocean region, Indo-Pacific region, what is the significance of Indo-Pacific region, and also you need to see about the challenges and what is the way forward. So from this area also you can expect a means-based question from international relations. And next topic is how stupas found in Zahanpura highlights Kashmir's rich Buddhist past. So this article is saying that there were certain stupas belonging to this Buddhism. They had been found in this Kashmir area. So that area is Zahanpura area. So now we have to see about what is that stupa and what are the specialities of that stupa, and you have to see about what is the significance also. And this topic is important from ancient history and as well as art and culture from GS paper 1. And next topic is HPV vaccination, that is nothing but human papilloma virus vaccination. Actually, this human papilloma virus causes cervical cancer in women, and it is a leading cause for cervical cancer in women. To prevent that, recently we came up with vaccine called as HPV vaccination. Okay, that is a cervical cancer related vaccine, guys. And you have to know about that in detail. You may get a question regarding this HPV vaccine in your prelims 2026. And this topic is important from GS paper 3 under science and technology. And next topic is center seeks access to phone source codes. Actually, this article is seen from 12th January till today also. On this January 15th newspaper also, we have an article regarding this. So here you have to see why central government wants to increase its control over the smartphones. why central government is asking this access to phone source code from this different manufacturing companies like Samsung, Apple, Redmi, whatever it may be. So whoever the company who are producing these mobile phones, especially smartphones, and who are selling that smartphones in our Indian markets, they have to share this source code. So here you have to see what is that, and you have to think why government is controlling this mobile phones that much. So this topic is important from GS paper to under governance point of view. And next topic is India Germany sign pact to shore up defense industrial cooperation. This article is talking about India Germany relations, and this article is saying that we are going to sign an agreement regarding defense. This topic is important from international relations point of view. And next topic is in a first, Rajasthan Panchayat gets certified for going fully organic. So here you have to know what is organic farming, what are the advantages of this organic farming, and you have to see about challenges, everything. And you may get a prelims and as well as mains based question from this area. And this topic is important from GS paper 2 under polity, because you are talking about panchayats of Rajasthan. And next, it is also important from GS paper 1 under geography, and as well as from GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. Okay, so these all are the very important topics that appeared in Hindu on this date, that is 12th and as well as 13th January. I am reminding once again, I am going to release one more video and you will be seeing probably the same dress, and that will be released in by tomorrow, and in that tomorrow class I'll be discussing 14th and as well as 15th current affairs. Okay, I will not leave any important current affairs. Okay, you can trust me. Okay, now let us see the first article. Look at the title, guys. And the video length can be like 45 to 50 minutes, so please bear. Because no one is there in the class, I am in recording room and I am in recording, so that there will be no student interaction, so that the time will be taken to record this video will be short for sure. Okay, now let us see the title. Bhairav battalions to debut in Army Day Parade in Jaipur on January 15th. Okay, so this article is talking about Bhairav battalion. So how can you expect a question from this area? They'll give you directly, consider the following statements regarding Bhairav battalions, which is seen recently in news. And they'll give you 3 to 4 statements and they may ask you to identify correct or incorrect statements. So in that way you can get a question. So if you see the context, as you already know the context, Army newly raised modern warfare force. And this modern warfare force is called as Bhairav battalion. And this Bhairav battalion will participate in Army Day Parade for the first time. Where it is going to held? Rajasthan, Jaipur on 15th January, and they are participating. So because of this is the news. If you see some facts regarding this Bhairav battalion, they are the new class of compact high-tech combat units of our Indian Army. They are highly compact, high-tech units. And each battalion, the group is containing around 250 soldiers. And these soldiers, they are from infantry, artillery, air defense, signals, and other combat support arms. From all these areas, we are going to have 250 soldiers in one battalion, one group. And they are especially equipped for swift, surprise, and high impact operations. In any diverse combat environment it may be, they are going to participate. They are not like para special forces. They can handle strategic missions inside enemy territory also. They are trained in such a way that they can enter into Pakistan and they can fight in this Pakistan territory itself. And these Bhairav battalions, they are positioned very near to the border with other countries. Okay. And if you see here, Bhairav units are built to fight tonight. That is nothing but they must be ready to move at a very short notice without waiting for any larger formation. If they're getting any notification or any short notice within a very short span of time, they have to go and they have to be in that mission. And next one here is these Bhairav units, they will act as a bridge between special forces and regular infantry. Okay, and next one here is they are mainly seen at this sensitive sectors, which are the very sensitive sectors in India: Rajasthan, Jammu, Ladakh, and Northeast. Okay. Yeah, as of now, there are 15 battalions are already raised, but India's plan is to raise this number of battalions to 25. 25 into 250. You can count. There will be this many members who will be in these battalions. Okay, now let us see the next article. This article is very important, and on this 12th January, most of the articles are based on this POCSO. So, what is POCSO? First of all, Prevention of Child from Sexual Offence Act. Okay, so here if you see about this article, so they already gave one infographic here itself. They can say like from 2019 to 2025, so how many number of cases had been there or had been filed based on this POCSO Act, how many had been resolved, and what is the conviction rate. Everything is given clearly, so just go through this infographic once. Okay, so if you see this title, this title says that faster is not fairer in POCSO case clearance number. So actually this article is saying that in 2025 itself, we came up with the using of fast track special courts, and they cleared more sexual offence cases than registered that year under this POCSO Act. So there is 109% of disposal rate. Okay, so here what is happening here? Under this POCSO Act, they said who are children. So on this children, if there are any sexual harassment or sexual offences or any rape or like that kind of cases, they will be registered under this POCSO Act. And actually to resolve that cases, we started using this fast track courts. And this first paragraph itself is saying that fast track courts are working very efficiently and there is a very faster disposal rate, and disposal rate is 109%. So here you can see 109% in 2025, in 2024 87%, in 2023 90%, in 2022 88%, 2021 71%, in 2020 just 5%, in 2019 10.9%. So like that, what is happening here? Disposal rate of the cases which had been filed under this POCSO had been increased gradually. In 2025 it is 109%. That is the thing which mainly said here. Okay, now let us see. Actually, this two paragraphs, everything they gave, it is about data. You don't need about that also. And there are certain case studies given here like Unnao rape case, Lalitpur UP rape case, like that. So no need of going through this. Just listen to what I am saying here. And here this second paragraph is important. So why this is important? Because this POCSO Act had been passed in year 2012 and it was designed as a special law because there were no earlier provisions related to rape and as well as molestation under IPC related to these children. So because of this, POCSO is promised only like regarding these children related cases, and they are following child friendly procedures, time bound trails. Okay, so like that, so they came up with this in year 2012. That is introduction of this POCSO which is given in this. It is very important. And now let us try to understand this article clearly. So actually Supreme Court in January 2026, in one case, the name of that case is State of UP versus Anirudh and others case, and this case is saying that there is misuse of POCSO in consensual adolescent relationship and asked union government to consider reforms. Actually, Supreme Court is dealing with one case, and the name of that case is State of UP versus Anirudh and ANR, this nothing but others. It is saying that there is misuse of POCSO case or POCSO related act. Actually, in Telugu, there is one movie. I can't recall that movie. Yeah, Court. Yeah, the name of that movie is Court. That entire movie which depicts about the misuse of POCSO Act. So here this case is saying that there is a high level of misuse of this POCSO Act. And here now Supreme Court is asking our union government to bring some reforms. Why? Because consensual adolescent relationship. If you see about this teenage, 13 to 19 years, this age we have hormone rush. We will come into this infatuation, and as well as the relationships, especially opposite sex attraction, will be happening more in this age. Sometimes what happens with this consensus, that is nothing but with the acceptance of the girl only, they will start having relationship, either physical relationship or anything, whatever it may be. So because of this, what happens here is many a times this POCSO Act is getting misused. That is the thing which mainly said. So because of this, now Supreme Court asked this union government to bring some reforms in this POCSO Act. Okay, so there is some issue. What is that issue related to this POCSO Act? It is about one thing, that is age of consent. Age of consent is nothing but it is an age at which person can validly agree to sexual activity. Okay, in India it is 18 years under this POCSO Act and as well as IPC. And even Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita also says 18 years is the age we can take into valid. Okay, if you see about this key trends and data, according to National Health and Family Survey, 39% of Indian girls had their first sexual experience before 18 years. See here the number, 39 years before 18 years. And this one is Enford and Project 39A studies also says that 25% of POCSO cases involve consensual adolescent relationship. It is not an abuse. 25% of this kind of sexual relations or experiences are happening with consensus. And this one here is there is a problem of increasing of POCSO cases that reflect parental opposition to teenage relationships rather than criminal exploitation. Rather than criminal exploitation, here parents are not accepting the relationships of these teenagers. So because of this, there is rising of this POCSO cases. So these are the some data and the trends related to this POCSO cases. Now Supreme Court, what it said in our earlier or the recent judgments here is, first one we have POCSO Act of 2012 and we have IPC section 375 and BNS section 63 says that any sexual activity with a person under 18 years is considered as rape irrespective of the consent. We are not going to take any consent, whether they gave consent or whether it is against their will or whether with their full will and wish they are doing that. We don't consider if the age is less than 8. If the age is less than 18, it is considered as rape under these three things. Okay, POCSO Act, IPC and as well as Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And this one is Supreme Court on January 10th, 2026. It said that in the state of UP versus Anirudh, the court acknowledged misuse of POCSO in romantic adolescent cases. Yes, Supreme Court also said that yes, there is a misuse of this POCSO is happening in this adolescent cases. And now Supreme Court is asking central government to come up with the reforms or consider exemptions for genuine teenage relationship. If there are any relationship which are happening genuinely with the will, with their wish, then it will affect their Article 21, right? So because of this, the Supreme Court asked this central government to make any exemptions related to this adolescent genuine teenage relationships. Okay, so if you see what is a judicial tension, so actually high courts of Delhi and Bombay have called for recognizing adolescent autonomy. Supreme Court has maintained that consent under 18 is legally invalid. But now again, Supreme Court overturned its earlier judgments and said that yes, central government has to take some steps or central government has to make certain exemptions. So that is the thing which mainly seen in this article. So what is the way ahead here? What can be done if there is any misuse of POCSO is happening? Is that good? No. Obviously, government has to take certain steps. The first one here is government can close in age exemptions for 16 to 18 years. So if they are going for the consensus, yes, we have to leave them. They will not come under criminals. And this one here is court should assess power imbalance, grooming, threats or dependency so that genuine relationships are protected. So actually judiciary has to protect this genuine relationships. And this one here is, first of all, we have to increase sex education as well as counseling for the adolescents. For sure, we have to start that from the schooling itself. And as well as we have to improve the support and as well as legal aid for the people who had been trapped in this POXO case. Okay, that's the thing which mainly said, guys. And now let us see the next article. Look at the title. Title says India's maritime policy, how it has evolved and what lies ahead. So directly title itself is saying that the evolution of India's maritime policy and what is a way forward. First of all, let us try to understand the basic background of India's maritime policy, and later on we have to see what are the challenges present and what is a way forward, guys. Okay, now let us see the context. India's maritime policy has undergone significant evolution, which link it to its historical and as well as geographical context. So recently, one handbook, the name of that handbook is the Routledge Handbook of Maritime India. This handbook says that India's maritime policy is linked to its history and as well as its geography. Because if you see about the geography, India is having a very long coastline of 11,098 kilometers. And if you see about history, one of the ancient civilizations started in India, that is IVC, Indus Valley Civilization. It did. And at that time of IVC also, we did trade with other countries, other civilizations at that time. For example, Mesopotamian civilization. So how it was possible? Because of this good trade routes. Okay, now let us see the maritime history of India. If you see the beginnings of India's maritime history, dates back to 3000 BC. During this time, the inhabitants of Indus Valley civilization had maritime trade links with Mesopotamian civilization. If you see the history, the first one is this kind of maritime policy had been started way back during this IVC period itself. And this one here is, after that we have certain southern dynasties like Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. They had good maritime trade links with Sumatra, Java, Malay Peninsula and China. And even in 2025 prelims also there was one question related to this Cholas about this trade relationship case. Please check with that PYQ once. And this one is, after that Arabs invaded India. By 8th century AD, Arabs began to come India by sea in great numbers as traders. After that, Europeans came. First Portuguese, then Dutch, then British, and as well as French. Yes? After the arrival of Europeans, especially Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama in Calicut, he found the sea route from Europe to India. And after that, it made very easy for these Europeans to come into India. And this one is, if you're talking about this Marathas, they gave the strongest resistance to British control along in the Indian coast. At that time, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was the first to recognize the need for powerful navy. After that, he built coastal forts. The names were Vijayadurg, Sindhudurg, and that led to the strengthening of our defense against Siddhis and as well as Portuguese. Under his leadership, Maratha Navy grew over 500 ships of both Portuguese and British for over 40 years. So in that way, Marathas plays a very important role in developing of maritime policy of India at that time. And after we got independence on 22nd April 1958, the first Indian Chief of Naval Staff was Vice Admiral R.D. Katari. After that, India got republic status on 26 January 1950. At that time, the Navy dropped the royal prefix and we renamed it as Indian Navy at that time. And if you see about this importance of Indian Ocean region, Indian Ocean is the third largest ocean. We know we have Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean, and Atlantic Ocean. Out of this, Indian Ocean is the third largest ocean, which is linking Middle East, Africa, and as well South Asia and Southeast Asia, which is having very important, very crucial choke points. What are those? Strait of Hormuz, Bab el Mandab, Malacca Strait, Lombok Strait, etc. And this one here is the region carries nearly 50% of global container traffic, and around 80% of seaborne oil trade happens through this ocean. And it is a hub of blue economic activities as well. And we got recently permission for exploring of polymetallic sulfides beyond our exclusive economic zone from this in Seabed Authority, right? Okay, so here we can also extract a lot of blue economy by shipping, fisheries, seabed mining, tourism, etc. And this one here is we can also ensure energy security, because Indian Ocean region, it is a lifeline of global energy flows from West Asia towards East Asia via sea lanes. And we have very important countries like India, China, Japan, South Korea. They are energy import dependent, and they make Indian Ocean region very vital. Okay, that's the thing, guys. And next one here is why we need to have a good maritime security in Indian Ocean region. First of all, let us see what are the challenges. First one here is we have threat of terrorism. There is increased Chinese aggressive expansionist policy, and even through this routes only lot of time this kind of smuggling of humans, smuggling of arms, smuggling of drugs, drug trafficking, human trafficking will happen through these routes. And this one here is because of climate change, coastal erosion is one more problem. So like that we have lots of problems related to this Indian Ocean region. So because of this we need to strengthen our maritime policy. That is the thing which mainly said here. Okay, here if you see here, Indo-Pacific combines Indian Ocean as well as Pacific Ocean. Because of this, we are going to have one strategic theater, and this mainly highlights the centrality of Indian Ocean region. So because of this, we can shape new global maritime order. And next one here is if you're having strong Indian Ocean region, we can increase trade and we can maintain security of trade. We can control piracy, and we can have good maritime choke points can be strengthened like Strait of Hormuz, Strait of Malacca, Bab el Mandab, etc. And next one here is India can show its good power in this Indian Ocean region, and also we can control these threats like illegal, unregulated, underreported fishing, trafficking, piracy, and shipping. Everything can be controlled, guys. So this is the thing that you have to remember. And next article it is about how stupas found in Zehanpura highlights Kashmir's rich Buddhist past. If you see the context, it says that archaeologists have unearthed ancient Buddhist stupas and settlements at Zehanpura, and they all belonging to the century-old photograph discovered in French museum. In one French museum, we got a photograph of the stupas, and finally we went for digging in that areas. So in that areas, we found century-old some stupas belonging to this Buddhism in this Kashmir now. So because of this, it is in news. If you see some facts regarding this, it says that the mounds are located along ancient Silk Route. That route is going to this Kandahar and beyond. And Zehanpura has yielded Buddhist stupas, urban settlement complex, Kushan era pottery, shards, copper artifacts, walls, etc. And at that time, the Kushanas, they were a powerful ancient Indo-Greek dynasty that ruled large parts of North India and Central Asia between the time period 1st to 3rd century BCE. And they played a very important role in promoting trade, urban centers, and as well as spread of Buddhism in India and beyond. So that is about this, guys. And next topic is HPV vaccination. It is nothing but human papilloma virus. Okay, so here to understand this, you have to know about reproductive system of women. In reproductive system of women, we have uterus. It is also called as womb. And for this, we have tubes. They are called as fallopian tubes, and here we have egg bag called as ovary. The same thing. Here also we have fallopian tubes, they will be having finger-like projections. Here we have ovary. So this is the womb. The baby will grows here itself. Every month, one egg will be released by either right ovary or left ovary. Every month, one egg. After fertilization in this fallopian tube, it will be coming and attaching to the lining of the womb, and this lining of womb is called as epithelium. Okay, so this part is called as cervix. Okay, what happens here is normally we have bacteria in our body. Yes or no? We are co-living with bacteria. For example, in your stomach, in your intestines, in your mouth also. Yes. So wherever on your skin also, if you keep your hand under this microscope, you can see multiple bacteria, fungi, whatever it may be. So what is happening here is we have human papilloma virus. So this virus will be normally there in the cervix region. Actually, you know that because of this repeated sexual intercourse in the women, what happens? So this virus will be getting developed at a very fast rate, and it will create certain tumors, and these tumors later on it will causes cervical cancer. Cervical cancer in women is the most important cause for the leading cancers in women. It is caused by HPV virus. To control that, recently we came up with this vaccine called as HPV vaccine, and the brand name is Cervivax. Okay, Cervivax is a vaccine. And normally this vaccine can be given from 9 years of children. In the 9 years children, we can give 2 doses of this vaccine 6 months apart. And in 13 years children, we have to give 3 doses. From 13 years to the age is increasing, the number of doses will be increasing in the women. And actually this vaccine is very effective before the sexual intercourse had been started. Okay, so this is about this vaccine. Now let us see about this topic clearly. The large population based study shows that high HPV, that is human papilloma virus vaccination coverage can reduce precancerous cervical lesions even among unvaccinated women, highlighting a strong herd protective effect. So this article is saying that we are having herd protective effect. What is the meaning of herd? Herd is nothing but the group. So if we are increasing this vaccination to the people, we can get this herd immunity. That is the thing which mainly said here. Even in unvaccinated women also, we can try to reduce that kind of impact. Okay, if you're seeing about this facts regarding this human papilloma virus, it is a commonly sexually transmitted infection. Most infections are asymptomatic and self-limiting. We cannot identify the symptoms of getting that also. And HPV, it is a DNA virus from Papilloma viridae family. And the cervical cancer is mainly caused by 95% of cases are linked to this human papilloma virus itself. And other cancers which is mainly caused by this HPV virus is anal cancer, vaginal cancer, vulvar cancer, penile cancer, oropharyngeal cancer. It can also cause other cancer, but 95% of this cervical cancer cases are related to this HPV only. Okay. And this one is, yes, we have this vaccine to prevent this cancer. Okay, that is given to 9 to 14 years of age, but even the more also we can take. We can talk with our gynecologist and we can get that vaccine, and the cost will be like 1500 to 4000 rupees based on the number of strains. Okay, now let us see the next article. Title says Center seeks access to phone source codes. From this 12th January onwards till today also we have this article in news. Let us see what is this. The government is planning strict smartphone security rules under, please make a note, under Indian Telecom Security Assurance Requirements. Under Indian Telecom Security Assurance Requirements. So what is this Indian Telecom Security Assurance Requirement? In 2023 itself, we drafted that smartphone security standards. So under that, government is doing certain things. What government wants to do under these rules? The first one is it is asking the manufacturers like Apple or Samsung or Chinese company or whatever the company which is producing this smartphones to give source code for government analysis. And it is also saying that that manufacturing companies have to allow pre-installed apps to be uninstalled. And this one here is they're also blocking certain apps from using cameras, microphones in the background so that we can prevent the misuse. And this one here is we want to meet 83 security standards and alert the government to major software updates. So like that government is trying to control this misuse of smartphones in India. What are the objectives here? The objective here is nowadays there is increased use of smartphones. And India is the second largest market for smartphones. They are the second largest user of smartphones in the world. So because of this, there is increased online frauds, there is increased privacy issues, data breaches, everything. So we have to control that. So because of this is the thing which is going on. But because of this, there are certain challenges also. So here, this manufacturing companies are saying that there will be a right to privacy issue. We can't share this kind of codes. That is the thing which mainly set by this manufacturing companies. Okay, clear? And now let us see the next article. Look at the title, guys. You can see two important persons on the screen. Title says India, Germany sign pact to shore up defense industrial cooperation. This article is talking about India-Germany relations, and this topic is very important from your international relations point of view, guys. Now let us see the context why it is in news. If you see the context, it says that India and Germany signed agreements related to different sectors. What are those? Defense, technology, health, energy and human resources. Why? Because Germany Vice Chancellor, he is on a 2-day visit to India. In this visit, we are going to sign agreements, guys. Now let us see in detail. In this visit, India and Germany, they signed around 19 agreements and they made several policy announcements. Let us see the first one, defense and security cooperation. Regarding this defense and security cooperation, we had joint declaration of intent and we are focusing on bilateral defense industrial cooperation, and as well as we are focusing on promoting long-term collaboration through co-development, co-production and technology partnerships. And this one is we are increasing our focus on trade, economy and as well as technology. Especially we had bilateral trade in goods is around US $50 billion 2024 and we have to increase that further. And we want to boost cooperation semiconductors and as well as critical minerals, telecommunications, digitalization, artificial intelligence and as well as innovation. And we're also focusing on improving of green and sustainable development partnership as well. And we want to increase that. We have to come up with that by 2030. And this one is we are also focusing on global and as well as regional issues like IMEC, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. And we are also making certain comprehensive reforms in this United Nations Security Council. And we are focusing on this visa-free transit for Indian passport holders. And we are also coming up with new agreements related to higher education, skilling, renewable energy, training, sports, cooperation, maritime heritage, youth exchanges, etc. And we are also coming up with other joint declarations related to research and development on bioeconomy as well. So these are the things that you have to remember, guys. And next article is, in a first, Rajasthan Panchayat gets certified for going fully organic. This article is very important. Here you have to say about what is organic farming. So this article is saying that Bamanwas Kankar Panchayat, which is in Rajasthan, has become the first fully organic village body in the state, covering 7 hamlets. 7 hamlets are there in that. so and so panchayat region, and had been declared as organic farming. So organic farming is nothing but it is a sustainable agriculture system. This system avoids synthetic inputs and it relies on natural on-farm resources for nutrient management, eco-friendly methods for pest and disease control, and even it promotes seafood production. It also lowers the production cost and improves soil health and helps to mitigate climate change by reducing dependence on chemical fertilizers. And what are the advantages here? We are going to maintain our environmental health, and we can reduce the pollution, and we can reduce human and animal health hazards also, and we can increase agriculture production at sustainable level, and obviously the cost of agriculture production will be reduced. And this one is we can use natural resources properly, and we can also save our energy for both animals and as well as machines, and we can improve the soil fertility. Okay, so like that we have lots of advantages of using this organic farming. So these are the important articles that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper, guys. So by this I'm concluding, not today's 12th and 13th. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, and sorry for the delay. So because of time lagging, and even I went to AP for vacation, I visited lots of temples in AP. So because of that, and one more thing is I took my two kids with me. So because of that, I didn't find any time to record these videos, and I thought that recording in that laptop is also not efficient, and even that is not possible in this vacation. So because of this, after in the vacation, now I'm doing this. From now onwards, it will be regular only, guys. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. And if you really like this class, and one more thing here is I'm taking a lot of effort to make this class. So please do identify and recognize my hard work, and please do at least hit a like button. So I'm doing this consistently. Can't you just click a like button? So think something psychologically and just hit the like button so that the reach of this video will be increased. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and please do hit the like button, and please do share this class to your friends, and do subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy. Thank you, guys.